Each thing, as far as it can by its own power, strives to persevere in its being. Baruch Spinoza, Ethics. Everything that exists tries to keep existing. At first, that sounds almost too obvious to be philosophy. A plant reaches towards light. A body responds to injury. An animal moves away from danger. So what could possibly be profound about saying that things strive to continue existing? Spinoza thought the answer was much stranger than survival. He was not simply observing that living things tend to preserve themselves. He was making a claim about what a thing is. For Spinoza, the striving to persist belongs to the very essence of a thing. He called this striving Conatus. And once we understand what he means by that word, our understanding of desire begins to change. So does our understanding of value, and even our understanding of why we resist change. Perhaps we do not first exist and then develop desires. Perhaps our desires are expressions of the very striving through which we exist. If human beings are not outside nature, and if everything that happens to us has causes, then what exactly is this strange being that is constantly being caused and yet constantly striving to continue? What kind of being are we? The Latin word is conatus. It can be translated as striving, endeavor, or effort. But Spinoza means something more fundamental than ambition or motivation. Everything that exists belongs to nature. There is no separate realm in which human beings stand outside the causal order, free to interrupt it whenever they choose. Everything exists through causes, and every finite thing acts according to the nature it has. So Spinoza is not saying that a thing exists and happens to have a tendency to keep existing. He is saying that the striving to persevere belongs to what the thing actually is. It is part of its essence. A plant does not need to understand its striving. A body does not need to consciously decide to respond to injury. And a human being does not consciously author every impulse towards preservation. Conatus does not require awareness. It is deeper than intention. The striving is simply part of what it means for a finite thing to exist as the particular thing it is. This is where the concept becomes deeply relevant to human experience. If conatus is the striving through which a thing perseveres in its being, what happens when that thing is a human being? We are constantly pursuing, avoiding, preferring, rejecting, and reaching towards things. We want, we fear, we become attached. We seek what appears to strengthen us and avoid what appears to diminish us. Spinoza connects these movements to conatus. Desire is not some foreign force that occasionally interrupts our rational nature. It is connected to the basic striving through which we exist. That changes the question. We normally ask, why do I want this? Spinoza invites us to ask, what is causing me to strive in this particular direction? We can experience a desire very clearly without understanding where it came from. We know what we want, but that does not mean we understand why it has acquired such importance for us. Our history matters. Our circumstances matter. Our encounters matter. The condition of our bodies matters. The ideas we have absorbed matter. All of these can participate in the direction our striving takes. This is why one of Spinoza's most uncomfortable insights is also one of his most important. We do not merely have desires. Our desires are expressions of the way we are striving to exist. Spinoza then makes an extraordinary reversal. We normally imagine the relationship between goodness and desire like this. Something is good, therefore I desire it. Goodness comes first, desire follows. But Spinoza reverses the order. He writes, "We neither strive for nor will, neither want nor desire anything because we judge it to be good. But on the contrary, we judge something to be good because we strive for it, will it, want it, and desire it." This does not mean that everything we desire is actually good for us. The point is more precise. Spinoza is questioning the assumption that we first look at the world as neutral observers, discover what is good, and then desire it. Our striving is already involved. Something becomes important to us partly because of the way we are disposed towards it. Think of something you once wanted intensely. While you wanted it, it may have seemed enormously important. Perhaps you eventually obtained it, and years later wondered, why did that seem so important to me? The object may not have changed, but your relationship to it did. Spinoza's insight is that desire does not simply respond to value. Desire participates in our experience of value. So the more revealing question is not, what do I want, but what is making this appear worth wanting? Now we encounter a problem that is difficult to explain if we think human beings are simply rational decision makers. Sometimes we know something should change, and yet it doesn't. We can recognize that a familiar pattern is no longer serving us and continue repeating it. We can understand that a belief is poorly supported and still feel deeply attached to it. We can know that a way of living is making us unhappy and still return to it. Why? If we can recognize what would be better, why doesn't recognition automatically change our behavior? Spinoza's answer begins with the fact that our understanding is often partial. We encounter the world through our bodies. Things affect us. We experience the effects of those encounters and form ideas from them, but we do not necessarily understand the complete chain of causes behind what is happening. Spinoza calls such partial understanding inadequate ideas. An inadequate idea does not become powerless simply because we recognize intellectually that it is incomplete. A desire, an attachment, or a familiar pattern can remain powerful. This is why Spinoza does not reduce resistance to change to weak willpower. The habit has causes. The attachment has causes. The emotional response has causes. Simply seeing the problem does not automatically remove them. This is one of Spinoza's most important challenges to our ordinary idea of self-control. Knowing what is true does not necessarily make us capable of acting according to what is true. The simple answer is that change can be uncomfortable, but Spinoza takes us deeper. We are beings that strive to persevere. We tend to continue through patterns that have become part of our way of existing. The familiar has causal power. The known world has become part of the structure through which we act. So change is not always simply a matter of making a new intellectual decision. We may sincerely say, I know I need to change, and mean it, but another part of the causal system may still be pulling in the opposite direction. This does not mean change is impossible. It means change requires more than recognizing what we would like to be different. It requires understanding the forces that sustain what already exists. We are not simply choosing between two options. We are beings already moving within a network of causes. But there is an important danger here. If Conatus means striving to persevere in our being, we might assume it means wanting to remain exactly as we are. That would make the concept almost trivial. But human beings change constantly. Our bodies, our knowledge, our circumstances, our relationships, our desires. And yet we continue to experience ourselves as the same person. So perhaps persistence does not mean remaining identical. Perhaps it means continuing through change. A tree grows and remains the same tree. A child becomes an adult without becoming an entirely different kind of being. A person can change their beliefs, habits, and understanding while remaining recognizably themselves. This gives us a beautiful paradox. We are constantly changing while continually striving to remain ourselves. Perhaps the opposite of change is not persistence. Perhaps persistence is what makes change possible. That is a much richer understanding of Conatus than simply saying human beings are afraid of change. We are caused, but we also strive. And those things are not opposites. We are active beings within nature. We pursue, avoid, desire, respond, and attempt to preserve ourselves. All of this happens within causation. So freedom cannot mean becoming causeless. It cannot mean escaping nature. Perhaps freedom must involve something more demanding, understanding the causes that shape our striving. The more adequately we understand what moves us, the less mysterious our own desires become. And that points towards where Spinoza's philosophy is ultimately heading. Not towards independence from nature, but towards a deeper understanding of our place within it. We began with a simple proposition. Everything that exists strives to keep existing. But Spinoza has made that proposition anything but simple. Conatus is not merely survival. It is not conscious intention or motivation. It is the striving through which a finite thing perseveres in its being. In human beings, that striving becomes connected with desire. Our desires influence what appears valuable to us, while our understanding of the causes behind them is often incomplete. So perhaps the most revealing question is no longer, "What do I want?" but "What is causing me to want this?" But our striving does not occur in isolation. We encounter other people, circumstances, loss, pleasure, rejection, affection, success, disappointment. These encounters affect us. Some seem to increase our capacity to act. Others diminish it. We experience these changes as emotions. So if Conatus is the striving through which we persist, what happens when the world acts upon that striving? Why does one encounter strengthen us while another diminishes us? Why can an emotion move us before reason has had a chance to speak? And if our emotions have causes, can those causes themselves be understood? This is where Spinoza takes us next. Not towards a command to control our emotions, but towards something more interesting, an attempt to understand them. Perhaps understanding the forces that move us is the beginning of changing our relationship with them. And perhaps that is the question worth sitting with. What happens to our striving when we are affected by the world? I would genuinely like to hear your thoughts. Do you think understanding why we feel and act the way we do can actually change us? Leave your perspective in the comments. This is only the beginning of our exploration of Spinoza's philosophy. If you would like to continue exploring these questions with me, subscribe to Beyond Words and Places. There are many more doors to open.